Okay, I just wanted to go through for parents and for kids, kind of how to use MATHia and how we use it in class. We've had some parents a little bit confused on what kids need to do on MATHia. So I just want to go through that really quickly and show how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to go on here and go like I were going in as a student to a workspace on MATHia. This is what their screen looks like when it pops up with MATHia and they know how to get there. Some kids are looking up here at where it says the workspace is complete. And that's not always accurate all the time. So they really do need to keep track of what they've completed. Kids know when they've completed a workspace, it shows them, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as well. So when kids go on here, they press let's go. I don't know if you saw that let's go button. And then this is the one they're on. And this is actually the workspace they should be on right now. And this is the same material we're working on in class. They're going to be tested on this on Monday, the 24th of January. So this is the workspace they're working on, and it's the same as what they're doing in class. So when they get on here, it shows this problem for them to do. They have to solve this inequality. So if they don't know how to solve an inequality, I would say definitely press this begin step-by-step example button if they don't know how to do it. Or if they're like, I kind of get it, but I could probably use some work on this still. I'd press that. If they are like, I've got this completely, I just need to get this workspace done. I know how to do this. They can press skip and go to problem. So I'm going to press skip because I'm trying to get you guys through this faster so you can see what it's like completing a workspace. If you look up here on the screen, there's little circles on the top right hand corner and they've all just got a little blue dot right now. Those will all fill in completely green when they are finished with the workspace. So on here, kids would need to say, okay, what do I need to do to get this done? Well, they know they're going to have to add to both sides. They're going to have to add a 38. So they type that in and then they'd have to simplify. We'd have 2. Then say they get here and they don't know what to do. That's okay, but it's not okay to just sit there and not do anything. So up here, they could go back to the step-by-step example. They could go to a sample problem, which would walk them through it. Or they can click hints up here. Well, a hint is gonna give them a hint. A lot of kids are clicking this next button and just clicking next until they get the answer. If they just do that, they don't get credit for it. They have to show that they know it. So it says, what can you do to both sides to get the variable x by itself? Okay, if you still don't know that, then you could click the next button. It says negative x is negative 1 times x. How do you undo multiplication? Most kids, if they read that, they would get, well, the opposite of multiplication is division. So you would divide by both sides. If they still don't get it, which most kids after that would not get that still, but they could press next and say divide by both sides. It gives you your answer. But therefore, if you go that far, it's not going to give you credit for that. So they'd have to divide by -1 here. Okay, they could still press more hints, and then kids know when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. They could also click hints there to get that answer as well. So you'll see in the top right, it filled in some of those bubbles. It did not fill in all of them with a part because I clicked hints. I didn't do that on my own. I have to do it on my own to get credit for it. This problem's done, so they would click I'm done. So it's actually not done. I forgot there's a graph at the bottom. So it says you finished solving for this. Now you have to represent it on the number line. I just didn't see my number line because Zoom was in the way. So then they go down here to the number line and we have to plot our solution. This is an example where they're not actually graphing it themselves. It's an example of, hey, this is what x is less than -2 looks like on a number line. They want them to see that before they move on. And that's exactly what we're doing in class. except now they're to the point where they actually are graphing it. So I'm going to go on here and I'm just going to do some of this so that you guys can see the bubbles fill in and things like that. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. And we get -8. And then we're going to have to multiply both sides or divide by -1 again. And it switches the sign because you multiplied or divided by a negative. So you can see that filled in more this time. Then you plot your solution. So the more you do, the more it fills that in. They click I'm done after each one and it fills that in. They are not done with the workspace until those are all filled in. So here I'm going to have to add 22 to both sides. 72. Then they'd have to divide both sides by 6. And all of these things, if kids don't know what to do, they just have to press that hints button. I'm not clicking it now because I want you to see what it looks like when kids actually are done with one of these workspaces. Whoops, I forgot to plot the solution again. So you see the more problems they do, the more it fills in. Now, if they start getting a bunch of problems wrong, it's going to take some of that away. It wants to see that they actually know that. I do want to go over here to sample problems so that you guys can see that. So when you click sample problem, it pops up here at the bottom and has them read about it. And then it shows them a problem actually done and explains what was done. So that's something kids can click for some help on that as well. Sometimes up here, there's extra buttons. There might be a video. There might be, sometimes there's like a solver, which will help them solve equations. It's kind of like a calculator as well. So here I can click step by step also. And it says, so if I didn't know how to do this at all, I could click step by step and I don't know how to do this. It says to isolate the variable, you have to eliminate the constant -18. Well, to do that, you're going to have to add it to both sides. So you would add 18. So there's really no way to get completely stuck on this because it's going to explain it to you. Now it says you have to actually perform that addition here. So we perform that addition. Now it says you're going to have to divide because -2 times x, the opposite of that, is division by -2. So it says your coefficient's -2, so you have to divide by -2. Then it says you multiplied or divided both sides by a negative, so you have to flip that sign. And then it says you have to plot the solution. So some kids are saying, okay, well, I just completed a whole problem. I should be done with this now. No, the computer walked you through the whole problem. That was a good step to take though, because you're learning it. But you're gonna have to go to the problem and actually complete one on your own to get credit for that. So I'm gonna go through this. I want you guys to be able to see a completed workspace and what kids are seeing when they complete those workspaces. We have, okay, now we're gonna have to divide. And you can see when I'm completing these on my own, those little dots are filling in really fast. When kids are not completing these on their own, they're gonna fill in really slow. It means they need more practice on that, and that's good. That's a good thing about MATHia is it is individualized per the student. It's getting them what they actually need, not what everyone else needs, what they need. So that's a good thing. Divide both sides by 7. And I'm just going through this because I want you guys to see a finished workspace, but I could have pressed any of those hints there, the step-by-step there, whoops. Any of those things I could have clicked there to get help if I didn't know what to do. Let's see. So I'm gonna have to add. Okay, we're almost there to a completed workspace. So you can see these dots are green. That's a good thing. That means, and kids can actually look up here. So if they click that, they can click it and see what they mastered. So they mastered solving inequalities with positive X coefficients. What I have not gotten yet is solving inequalities, not including endpoints. I think that's my graphing button. I keep forgetting to click. I've mastered solving inequalities, including endpoints. I've mastered solving inequalities with negative X coefficient. So I'm really just working on one thing now. So if I prove it again, I'll probably finish this workspace. So let's see how that goes. We got to add to both sides. And this is the workspace that the majority of kids are actually on right now. Yeah, it was just the button that I kept forgetting to plot the line. So they do want kids to see that because this is X is less than 12. This is X is less than 12. That's a good thing for kids to see that that is less than 12. Okay, so this is the point where kids have all these green dots. And this is where you know you have completed a workspace because all the dots are green. And when I press I'm done, this is what happens. It takes me out of there. It says, nice job working through the mathematics, or sometimes it says something else there. That means I finished a workspace. Now, this is the part where kids have to have a little bit of responsibility with this. You have 4 workspaces to do for the week, and you have to take responsibility for tracking those 4 workspaces. So I've tracked, or I've completed a workspace. Maybe I have a notebook somewhere, or maybe I put it in my phone or something like that. But I need to mark it off somewhere that I've done 1 workspace because I know I need to do 4 for the week. Kids have to keep track of that. That's a responsibility piece. If they do come ask me, like before school or after school or during my planning, I can go through with them and show them how many they've done for the week. But it does take some time for me to go in and look that up for them individually. So if they come to me during class, I'm not going to look that up in the middle of class and take away from teaching my class. So you got to keep track of that for the most part. I know I've completed a workspace now. I need to track that. Now they can press continue and it goes to the next part that they're doing. And we've actually learned this too, the conjunction, disjunction. Now it explains stuff over here to them too, just like I showed you guys, and they can also press hints. Okay, what does conjunction or disjunction mean? Well, if they miss that in class or they don't remember, they can press next and it'll explain to them what those 2 things mean. Now it sets a timer there because it's trying to get kids not just to press next, 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 get the answer, because you don't get credit for that. But if they did read through this and still don't know what to do, they can click next. And it says a conjunction is in compact form. So then they would say, okay, this is compact form, it's a conjunction. And they have to categorize these. So they would go ahead and do that. This is another workspace that's on the topic we're doing right now. All of their workspaces, I have them set up to where they are doing what we are doing in class now. This is like what you would do for traditional math homework, except this is getting kids what they need at that moment, not what everybody else needs, what they need. So if a kid is really not getting it and they need practice, 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 MATHia is going to give them that. On that last workspace, you guys noticed, once I was getting those right, it was going through it really, really fast. If a kid is getting it, it will go through it really fast. They'll only have maybe 2 or 3 problems. If they show mastery on 2 or 3 problems, it'll move them on. But if a kid is having a hard time with it and missing the same things over and over and over again, it's going to keep giving them that practice. They need to figure out on there using those hints and things like that where they're missing it. And obviously in class, we have at least 15 to 20 minutes every single day we're doing MATHia, and I'm walking around answering those questions. So that's where kids can ask those questions. Also, they can go up here and click these bubbles and it can show them, this one actually doesn't because it's a weird one that doesn't really have a standard, but on that last one you have your standards and it tells you exactly what you're missing. And I actually didn't know about that feature until kids were using it in my class and clicking it and saying, oh, I keep missing multiplying by a negative or something like that. And they'd say, Miss Withers, how do I multiply by a negative here? And I'd help them with that. So kids know, they know when they're completing a workspace. They do it in class every day. And I give kids a snack every time they complete a workspace in class. So they know when they're completing a workspace because they're coming and asking me for a snack and we check that. they've completed a workspace. They know. So this is just another way that parents, you can keep track of when a kid has completed a workspace. Now, as far as in the grade book, every single week you'll see something that says MATHia week, and it'll give you the dates when that week begins and ends. I do from Monday to Sunday every single week. So for this week, we'll be going from Monday the 17th to Sunday the 23rd, and it'll say that in the grade book, and it'll say MATHia is 4 points. Each workspace, the kid gets 1 point for. So I just completed one of my 4 points for the week. Now, if I didn't do anything the rest of the week, I would have a 1 out of 4 for that week. However, I don't want to penalize the kids if they're going back and doing that stuff. So if next week I get my 4 workspaces done and then I'm like, shoot, I got a 1 out of 4 last week, I really don't want that 1 out of 4. I can go in and complete those other 3 workspaces and get my points back. And I update MATHia every Monday because some of that stuff takes a while to load. So if I'm going in there every single day, it doesn't load that right for me to update the grade book. So I do update it every single Monday. If kids get more than their 4 done, I go back and replace that in their grade for any missing MATHia workspaces previously. So I just wanted to walk through that so that parents kind of know what that looks like. And kids do know. Sometimes they might say they don't, but I see them doing it in class every single day. And those kids that sometimes are saying they don't know how much they've gotten done. Sometimes it's just they're not keeping track. So you got to keep track of if you completed a workspace, write it down in your phone, write it down in your notebook, something like that. But you got to keep track of your 4. If you see a 1 from the previous week, it's because you only completed 1. So if you see a 1 in the grade book, it's because you only completed 1 workspace that week. You have to complete 4 every single week to stay on track. If you guys have any questions on that, please feel free to email me. Or if you're more comfortable on the phone, you can always call the school and they'll transfer you to my room. Sometimes I might have to write your number down and get back to you just because I'm teaching a class. But I do get back pretty quickly and I get back really quickly on email. So hopefully that helps you guys.